All right, guys. Today I am here with my cousin Jessica Kusumo. Hey, Jess, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So you just came from the osteopath, and I
Yeah.
literally had to Google that to find out what osteopath was. So what's going on with your joints?
Oh, I had exams and stuff, and I was typing so much, and I was getting pain here. It was to the point there was bruising and stuff. It's pretty bad.
Damn.
Yeah. And I was sitting down so much, and I just feel like my knees a bit not aligned properly. So crazy stuff.
It's funny. Like, do you find yourself sitting in front of a? I mean, nearly everyone that I speak to probably sits down in front of a computer all day,
But
and
now that I don't study, I don't do that. Like, obviously I'll go to the gym and walk
right.
around, catch up with friends and stuff. But like when you're studying, it's literally like you wake up, eat, you're on the computer the whole day, shower, whatever, everything, and then just until you go to sleep is like computer, computer.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. I think I want to let people know first how we know each other. So obviously you're my cousin and you're my mum's youngest sister's daughter.
Yeah,
So I've always looked at you as it's fun. Like family is really funny to me. It's almost like you're always little Jess to me because all my memories of you and they come flooding back. Like when I start thinking about us and how you and I have been cousins for so long, like
yeah,
I just think of photos of you when you were younger, and I think of memories of you when you were younger, and like time's gotten on really quickly, but all my memories were that I almost saw you like every week. Like
yeah,
it
and
just felt like our family was so tight back in the days, like when you were really little, like
yeah,
it seemed like we would catch up every week and grandma would be around
yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe grandma was the reason, I'm not sure, but we were always seeing each other in like Chinese restaurants and
yeah,
dining, fine dining and stuff. And it's always like this thing in my head where I know that you're an adult now and our conversations get deeper and deeper every year, but you're still little Jess to me.
yeah,
So what am I to you then? Like it must be so weird.
yeah.
Like
I mean, obviously you're my oldest cousin here in
yeah,
Sydney,
yeah,
but
yeah, true.
I guess growing up we weren't obviously close, because I guess the big age gap. So I would
Yeah.
obviously hang out with the younger cousins more. But I guess when I was a teenager, I felt like we were talking a lot more, especially when we were like going out to family dinners and stuff. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like the conversations flowed really well when we talk to each other. I don't know, I just
Mm.
feel like you're also young at heart as well. So,
I'm
yeah,
a big kid. Well, that's the thing. Like I've found like it wasn't too long before my mom was like, "Oh wow, you and Jess are really getting along, and you guys like it's really good." And they started to notice. It was like they actually realized like we were sitting in the corner probably having D&Ms all night while they're
yeah,
like laughing like galas, like which is what our family does. Like for those who don't know, like my mum and her two sisters, the three sisters as we call them, they seem to catch up like they've never seen each other. It's like they haven't seen each other for years every time they see each other. And they can laugh so much all night and get into the dirty jokes, and especially your mum, she's hilarious.
yeah,
And it's like they're such a good unit, those three.
yeah.
Like
They blend.
I it's like ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to just go home. But it's like you can't go home because the three are like catching up like they haven't seen each other in years. It's like mum will say, "Oh, do you want to come to lunch?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and realize that I don't get home until like 6 o'clock.
I know. Always, always like that.
But I think like part of like why you and I get along is I don't want to get all heavy all of a sudden, but like my family went through some trauma with my dad passing, right? And then your family went through some trauma with your mom getting a divorce. So it's
Yeah,
almost like we were both when that happened for me and when that happened for you, it wasn't like this huge, the community and the internet and stuff wasn't around to a point where everyone was supporting each other and everyone had a platform to voice what they were going through. It was almost like I went through everything in my own way. My sister
Yeah.
went through it her way. My mum, we didn't have like people around to offer um, psychological help, or there was no way for us to reach out to anybody. It was just whoever you knew, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And so you didn't talk about it. And I think in when your parents went through divorce, it was a similar thing. It wasn't like there was a shit ton of help, or it wasn't like a heaps of people would talk about it either. It's almost
Yeah.
like, oh shit, they're going through something, might just leave them alone. Kind of
Yeah.
that era. Like when my dad died, it was almost like no one wanted to talk about it because they thought, probably it's better like to not talk about it.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
It's really strange. Whereas now it's almost like with the whole "Are You Okay" campaign and all this stuff, people are a little bit more willing to talk about it. Like it's not
Yeah.
easy. It's not easy to find people to talk about it. Like a lot of people will, especially with guys, like a lot of guys will just go, "Oh, don't worry about it, mate. She'll be right. Or you'll be right." Or that maybe their mission is to like, "Oh, if Justin's going through something, I'm just gonna distract him." Like,
I think people are more aware of talking to a psychologist will help or
yeah,
making changes for your life and stuff like that. Like, it's definitely not good just, I don't know, dealing with it all on your own, because then, I don't know, people tend to mask it with like drinking, drugs, and stuff like
that's
that.
it.
And it just gets
Yeah.
worse. It like makes a cycle and makes it worse.
Drugs is a huge one. Like I definitely turned to drugs to deal with dad passing. Like I just lost my shit and just I was a guitarist at the time. I was really into heavy metal music and stuff. So the drugs kind of just happened. And then the
Yeah.
advent of electronic music as well. Like when I started to get into electronic music, it almost went hand in hand with drugs. It's like
Yeah.
probably all like going to raves and stuff was new, and um it really put me off alcohol, because alcohol, you'd go to a bar and get into bar fights and shit, whereas having ecstasy, everyone would be in love and stuff. So it was all
Yeah.
like, it was all easy for me to get lost in that. And
Cheaper as
um,
well, right?
well, it's just one of those things. It's like um, you're right. You end up like maybe using the uh, drugs or whatever else to just find peace with yourself, but it's basically abusing. You're basically abusing something. Like the last podcast I did was with a mate who, when he went through tough times in his life, was when he started running. And I think you can turn it into a positive. Like
Mm,
running is amazing for him.
yeah.
So I think just the drugs is probably like a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's just like you have some drugs, and then whatever you do for the next few hours is going to be interesting, and somehow,
Just forget about all your problems and stuff. And I think,
yeah. So you've never gone crazy into drugs or anything. You've been pretty good this whole way through. So how have you dealt with your issues? And they're huge issues, by the way. I'm sure a lot of people listening, everyone has issues, right? We know that everyone has issues, but probably a lot of people have divorced parents. Like I think that's becoming more and more common, sadly.
yeah.
A lot of my friends that have got kids are divorced, and so it's pretty common. But like how did you deal with all of that, and like how did you manage to navigate all of that?
I think my mom actually got me to see like a counselor, psychologist, and stuff.
How
Um,
old were you then?
I think even like during the separation, she had me talking to
Mm,
11, 12. So I'm
wow,
sure
that would have been difficult.
it would have helped in some way, but obviously as I grew older, like being a teenager and adult, I kept going to see a psychologist. Um,
Yeah, right. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
so I guess it's helped me in a way.
Do you
I don't
think
know.
that's helped you come out and speak more too? Because I think I remember when you were like 10 or something, like you were really mute. Like you were super mute. You know, we only started talking later on, right?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I've just grown more comfortable in myself. I still feel like I'm a little bit shy sometimes, especially when I meet new people, but
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that you're a shy person, but like because I've been talking to you on that level, and what I mean by that level is when your guard is down and you're just talking openly, right? It's not like you're having to think twice or three times or four times about something before it comes out of your mouth. Like you and I have conversations where we're just like winging it and just like we have DNMs basically, right? So because I've been having DNMs with you for so many years at family get-togethers, I know that side of you.
yeah.
So then the shyness that you have doesn't compute with me because I'm like, well, why would you be shy? Because this is who you are. Because I can see who you are, right?
Yeah.
So I find it fascinating that you have had a like a career change. Like a you used to work in hospitality, so that's already going to push you to talk to people. So I thought that was fantastic for you, like at a younger age when you started doing work in hospitality. I was like, that's a really good job for you
Yeah.
because it
No,
was going to force you out of your
comfort zone.
yeah.
Yeah, I really had to like obviously be open, talk to customers, obviously like deal with complaints and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I definitely learned a lot from
Yeah,
working.
do you have good memories of that? Like that's the thing, like a lot of people don't go for a job that's challenging because they don't have the confidence to potentially succeed at that job. So what made you even go there from being someone who was more reserved and shy? What made you think I was going to go and work in hospitality? Was it because you wanted to open up?
No, I don't know. It sounds silly, but you know, when you go visit a hotel, everything seems so glamorous and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, it'd be like fun to work in that, I don't know, in a hotel and like just be behind the scenes and stuff. But it's definitely not as glamorous.
Glamorous behind it.
Yeah,
But that's really cool. It's like I know that like you have that glamorous side of you as well. Like I see you as someone who has one foot in, one foot out. You're quite grounded in one sense, but you also definitely have this like a glamorous life as well.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, it's not just the girl thing either, but like I always find it funny when, you know, maybe it is like as simple as guys love cars and stuff, and that's where they put their money into. But like when girls geek out over a pair of heels or something, it is I find it quite fascinating because it's very detached from the reality of where it's made and who makes it.
yeah,
It's definitely more about marketing and advertising, which I spent so much of my life in, and I just know how evil that shit is.
yeah,
So I'm always in a really tough place when someone spends a whole lot of money on something that it makes them happy to purchase it, to research it, to like that retail therapy. It's all, I can see what they're getting out of it,
yeah,
but really the end product is when you strip it all away, it's just a shoe.
yeah,
But there's so much, it's so much more to someone because of all these added layers.
advertising.
Yeah. So I mean, do you find like with going back to what you're studying now, which is psychology, which I find even more exciting than when I first heard that you were working in hospitality. Like when I heard that you were going to study psychology, it's like I'm so excited for you because when I think about studying in high school, I loved art and very few other subjects. But biology was one thing that I was really excited about because that was about like, at least it's about us. Like
Yeah.
at least biology is about the human body and how it works. And when then afterwards I went to design school, one of the first lecturers that hopped up on the stage was the principal of the entire university, I think. And he got up there and did a 2-hour talk about psychology.
Hmm.
and Freud and Jung and all of that, and it legitimately blew my mind because you don't learn any of that in high school. Well, I didn't anyway. We learned nothing about it in high school. So when you're studying to be designers, you have to understand psychology because you have to use it against people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we didn't think of that initially. We were just blown away by his amazing speech, which he probably does to every year there's new design students. But it really made me realize, like, fuck, I want to know more about this shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, how did you, is it because of all the psychologists you've seen in the past that sort of planted a seed in your head to maybe want to study this?
Um, so I just feel like with my friends and stuff and like just people in general, I feel like whenever people have problems and stuff, like I feel like, my friends come to me and like they confide in me, and I always try and give them, like the best advice. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for
Mm.
them and just be straight up. I don't know. I guess I'm a bit empathetic as well. And then, so anyway, my ex thought I would be good at doing psychology. So I was like,
Wow.
okay.
Okay.
And then we actually broke up a couple years ago. So I was like, shoot, what am I going to do with my life? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and study psychology. So initially it was just to not think about the breakup, and then
Wow.
but
That's interesting.
but the more that I did it, the more I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool and so interesting, and like
Mm.
I really do want to help people and try and make a change for someone's life. Yeah, if I can.
Yeah, I've noticed. Maybe it was half a year ago now. I'm not sure exactly. I'm really bad with dates and times and stuff. But I saw that you hopped on a university. Like, was it a university Facebook group?
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, like a Facebook, an open community, right?
yeah,
And you actually replied to someone that was reaching out for help.
yeah,
So that really, again, that just really excited me because when people reach out for help, a lot of people just think they just put it in a too hard basket. A lot of people won't reply, or a lot of people will reply with a one liner, but you didn't. You replied with like a few solid paragraphs,
yeah.
right? So I think like that, like, how did that feel, and how did that even go? Like, did that person end up responding to you in private, or did that person acknowledge the fact that you've replied?
No one replied to it, but then I got a few likes for it. But yeah,
Mm.
it's just basically I just read it and I'm like, well, I feel like I've been through that personally. I've actually like seen a psychologist who's helped me through that issue as well. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe for some reason that person's not going to see a psychologist, and maybe I could just give some advice to them to help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
It only took me like 5 minutes or something, 10 minutes to write that, and hopefully it made a change for them. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? Like some people that need help don't necessarily ask for it.
Yeah,
Like I found that when I was slipping into deep depression, I wanted people to just fuck off. Like, I didn't, anyone that wanted to help me was just, I'm just like, get fucked. And people were knocking on my door, I wouldn't let them in. So it can get to that point where when I start to wonder, almost like, the people asking for help, are they really in trouble, or are they seeking attention? Or when you're really, really in trouble, maybe you don't even know how to ask for help. Like, there's obviously various different levels of it.
yeah,
Like, um, I mean, I even get the whole psychology, like psychologist versus psychiatrist. I always get the two mixed up. It's just because I'm not versed in any of this, right? But I understand that psychology's got more to do with the brain
yeah,
and a mental state,
Yeah.
and psychiatrists have more to do with the body and medicine.
They can provide medication, basically. It's like,
Right. So it's almost like the perfect person would be two of them in one. It's
yeah,
like I had to go and see a psychiatrist and a psychologist. I think everyone starts with a psychologist first
yes,
because they instantly think, I don't want to hop on medication straight away. I
yeah,
want to see. So what that suggests to me that is that the brain is probably more powerful than the body. Like, I don't want to offend any psychiatrists out there, but it's almost like I feel like the brain is so strong that like it's obvious that some people on this planet can like use their brains to not feel pain. It's obvious they can stick a needle through their thumb and not feel pain because of somehow they figured it out how to use their brains.
yeah,
Or maybe they've like that guy who Wim Hof or something his name is. I think he climbed Mount Everest in a pair of boxer shorts, and he uses a breathing technique to get his to somehow do it,
yeah,
create more oxygen in his lungs. And so I always find it like fascinating that there is this huge separation, and psychology is probably a great first step for people because I suppose you're paying someone who is not going to judge you, right? Is
yeah.
that right? Like, is like I'm so fascinated with what you're studying. It's like I think I should study it myself. Like honestly, I would love to. Except no, well, like except if I'm not gonna fucking go and see an osteopath because I have to fucking write so much, my hand's gonna get fucked up and my knee's gonna blow out. Like seriously, like I don't want to study that hard. But like I am fascinated by how do they teach this shit? Like, how do they teach you to not be judgmental? Like, just okay, I've been to relationship counselors and stuff before, right? Where if the girl that I'm seeing books the counselor, then the counselor is going to be on her side and I'm going to get fucked up.
Yeah. I
So
don't.
how does it work with your job where
It really depends on what type of treatment or whatever you're doing, like type of psychologist. Because I have been to some psychologists where they just tell you straight up like what they think. And then there are certain types of psychology where they kind of just keep asking you questions and make you like lead you to that answer that they actually want, but they're not actually like upfront saying it to you.
they're not giving you the answer, they're just getting
Yeah,
you to ask more questions? I think that's fucking exactly where it should be,
yeah,
honestly. But
yeah,
I have also had, I've also seen psychologists that have just told me shit that I'm really furious about now in retrospect. Like, Justin, just go. You need sun. We need vitamin D. Go out and get some sun. Everything will be okay. I'm like, get fucked. It's not that easy.
it's really hard finding the right psychologist for you. I feel like
Right.
there's a lot of different people out there and they're gonna do it a different way. Like everyone's gonna be different. So it's just, I guess, finding the right fit for you as an individual. Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, right? Because I think like when you're really fucked up, you almost need a psychologist every day of your life. It's
Yeah.
like that 1 hour is so good. And then as soon as you leave their office, you're like, you still got problems. So it's like, can I just hang out with you every day?
Yeah. It's like shit, I'm on my own again. What do I do now? Like, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, do you find like the techniques that you're learning have helped you with your own problems?
um I think so. There are stuff that I learned. I mean, they were teaching us about how um like if we're studying and stuff, and then if we're thinking about other things that are like, you know, something's gone wrong in our lives and stuff, like if we're going through a breakup or something, like sometimes it will interfere with our studies, but we
Hmm.
have to find solutions and stuff to make us focus, you know.
So again, it's not like exactly telling you
It's not
this
as
is what you should do. It's saying it's just more about creating an awareness.
yeah. And with psychology, nothing is ever like 100% definitive, like nothing's ever 100%. This is the reason why this and this and this. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it could be that, it may be that. Because everyone's different, every individual is different. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I remember a few, or maybe it's probably been a year. Again, I'm so bad with my timelines, but I did see someone who um does psychotherapy. So
Cool.
he puts people into a trance and stuff, and but he came over to give um my friends and I a meditation session. So I've always heard a lot about meditation, but I've never been invested in it because I've always thought it was like wanky and full of shit and whatever. But like I've got this huge fucking tree outside, like it's massive, massive tree, and it was a beautiful day. We're all sitting on the deck out in the sun, and he got us to shut our eyes. So I'm like already like, oh, here we go. We're all sitting like the lotus pose. We're all shutting our eyes and comfortable. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking lame. I've listened to these little audio things before. They're saying, shut your eyes, imagine this, whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So he's like, yeah, shut your eyes, get comfortable, whatever. Just feel that sun on you and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And he goes like, just imagine the tree that's right in front of us now, but with your eyes are shut. So imagine the tree, all the birds in it, the branches. You can hear the birds now. No, whatever. And the leaves and all this kind of shit. Then he goes, "Oh, Justin, you are not the tree. You are not your thoughts." And it actually blew my mind because I'm sitting there imagining this fucking tree with my eyes shut, and I've got it in my head. And then he just goes, "Justin, you are not this tree. You are." I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he goes, well, you're not your thoughts. And then I just fucking got it. I'm like, oh, so that's meditation.
I guess,
You're right. It's like when you sit there, you have all these crazy bad thoughts and you're depressed, you're upset about something. What meditation helps you do is to realize that you are not those thoughts. They're running crazy in your head and you're probably fueling it with alcohol or drugs or
yeah.
eating some junk food or something. You're fueling these thoughts and you're like, it gets so under your skin when someone hates you, or when someone leaves you a bad comment or something, and it gets under your skin because you're letting it, because you keep
Yeah.
thinking about it. And it's like, if meditation's about being able to separate yourself from that thought and just go, well, that's not me, that's just this thought,
Yeah.
that's this person that gets under my skin, or that's this family member that has an issue. It's not me that has an issue, but if I keep thinking about it, I'm going to develop an issue about this.
Yeah.
So I do understand that there are ways to control your thoughts.
Yeah.
And is that kind of, I know that's meditation. I know I brought up meditation, but is that like, do you have techniques like that that are brought up in your study?
My study. There is like there's like a technique called CBT,
Mm.
cognitive behavior therapy.
Yeah.
They kind of just break, like if you have a thought about something, you can break it down and like just be like, well, that's not really the case or something for some reason. Like let's say, oh, I think I'm really antisocial or whatever.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
like the therapist or whatever can break it all down, and then just sometimes they do like a rating scale from like 1 to 10 of certain things, and
I
yeah.
noticed that a lot with like doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists. They use a rating scale.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of that? Like, do you think it's a bit old school? Like, I think that like I just kept being handed these forms which had like dots of which dot I should fill in on how I'm feeling at the moment, and then they would take that and literally diagnose me with what I filled in, but I don't know if that feels right to me. Like, I think maybe that's the quicker way of finding out how fucked up someone is. Or do you, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, do you find that's part of like, it's an old school thing?
I feel like it is old school, but what is a better technique than actually finding out what someone's actually feeling or thinking. Like, I don't know, it's just all there. The scale of like 1 to 10.
It's all the right questions,
Yeah,
maybe.
basically. It's like, yeah.
I suppose they're the right questions more than yeah. And it's a tough one because how someone's feeling in the moment might change from day to day. That's the problem, right? With people who are unhappy, it's like yeah, like I don't know, like I think a whole lot of people are chasing happiness, but they don't really understand what happiness is, or maybe they don't understand that you can't be happy every single day of your life. Like I don't think like trying to aim for this goal of eternal happiness is possible.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like you just have to be grateful for and have like gratitude for like the little things in life that can actually like change your mood, happiness. It's not about, oh, if I get a boyfriend, I'm going to be happy, or,
Yeah,
some people are like that, but it's more about like, oh, I have like shelter, I have food every day, I
that's
have
it.
friends, I have family I can talk to. Those things, those little things people take for granted, but you know, a lot of people, like there are people in the world that don't have like shelter, that don't have clean clothes and food and water and stuff. And I feel
And
like,
there's some of the most independent and amazing people out there.
yeah,
Like I hear stories of like 6-year-olds cooking breakfast and food and stuff for their younger brothers and stuff like that in places where there's poverty, or I
yeah,
just think like I almost think like we're bombarded with so much these days that our problems are probably not real problems, but it's almost like we're making, I mean, I've always felt like my whole life is like I've made myself have more problems just to make my life more interesting. I mean, I hate to be blunt about it, but it's like, it's sometimes like the more problems you have, the more things you've got to deal with, which keeps you busy, like, or like Ben, who I did a podcast with the other day, he was kind of like, people watch the news so that they can just have outrage culture. You watch the news and you can like, fuck that shit, and that's why those news shows like, uh, I don't know, current affair and all that shit. People watch it because they're like, it's all these people raging about neighbors or something that's just you're watching somebody else's problems
yeah,
and you're like just going, oh, isn't that horrible? No, 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 no,
yeah,
So I don't know. Like, I think it's what you're studying is really fascinating. And do you see yourself finally finding that sort of career path that you can really get into?
yeah. I think like I really do want to help people, and I feel like this is the right fit for me, like psychology, to try and help people. Um, yeah, it feels really fulfilling to be able to help someone. And I mean, I feel like that is my passion for now. I'm not sure
Yeah.
it would be like, I don't know, 20 years down the line or whatever, but
That's good that you said that. That's really realistic. I mean, I think a shitload of people go through life trying to find out what their reason for being on the planet is, right? Like their why. They're always looking for their why. But you just nailed down exactly what your why is right now. And you're
yeah,
not saying it's going to be forever, but you're saying it's what you're going for right now. And I think that's really admirable and really cool.
thank you.
Jess, you realize that you can make this as glamorous as the fuck you want, right? You realize you can have like this really nice velvety office with this awesome chaise lounge. Like, you could make it as cool, as glamorous as you want. Like, I've
Yeah,
been to psychologists offices or whatever that are just like, I didn't feel comfortable in them because it was too them. Like, it was too bare bones and too, there's a bookshelf of all these psychology books on it. Then there's a wall which has degrees on it. And then there's a couple of chairs. And for me, it's already like the chairs matter, the what she's wearing. One woman had like purple Reeboks on. I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to shit from a woman who wears purple Reeboks, man. Like, this is not gonna happen. So you can make this as fucking cool as you want.
yeah. I mean, I could definitely work from home too, with like COVID and stuff. A lot of people are doing like like
right.
the video calls as well.
Would
So
would you even consider going to people? Because I found that when I was in times of trouble, that I couldn't even leave the house. Like it's just so hard to get out of home when you're like, it's even so hard to like have a shower when you're depressed. And like, would you even, yeah, would you consider doing more like Zoom sort of meetings where at least someone could be like, you know, still in their pajamas and stuff, and they can at least see you on FaceTime, or even better, if you would go to their place. Like, I know that could be potentially dangerous for you, but like, I don't know if a psychologist even offers that service where they come to you.
I'm not sure about going to someone's house. I mean, I think definitely it would be like a safety issue type of.
Safety issues there, right? Yeah.
I would definitely do like a Zoom call or something, and I could like, it's kind of cool because I could like literally work anywhere in the world. The other person could be anywhere in the world as well, and like, yeah.
Do you think of specializing like in certain fields or in certain, you know, obviously there are probably psychologists that work for one particular company and that's all they do. Like whether it's a corporate building in the city that has like 300 staff, and then they're permanently sitting there waiting for people to talk to them about their problems during their lunch breaks or something. Like there's probably so many ways of you to um, narrow it down to one particular community or one particular subject or topic.
So I was studying developmental psychology, so I'm kind of drawn to that actually. Like, I feel like, you know, being a psychologist for young children, I think
Yeah, right.
the most impact you can make, like helping a child that's maybe going through a divorce, like the parents are going through a divorce or something. So I feel
That's
like,
based on your experiences too, like what you said, like when you were 10 years old or something. So yeah.
um, I just feel like, yeah, you can just make the most impact with kids because when they're adults, you know, everyone's like a lot of people's problems, like a lot of them stem from childhood as well. So
Totally right. I mean,
yeah,
one of my best friends is studying to be an art therapist. She's an awesome artist, but she's like, I don't want to just make art and sell stuff and be rich. I want to use art to help kids, and so it's pretty awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, like that's what I mean. There's so many different ways of specializing,
mm,
right? There's more than ever. Let's just say more than ever.
yeah,
So that's a really huge one. I mean, like I'm in agreement with you. I think my life was pretty good as a kid, so I didn't have any problems. But I had problems when my dad passed away. So when I was 18, was whatever happened to me then and how I dealt with it is the reason as to why I am who I am today.
mm,
So I would say that you've probably also analyzed the fact that whatever happened to you, that trauma that you were going through with your parents splitting up when you were a kid, was like the beginning of something that you weren't ready to deal with at 10 years old.
no, definitely not.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like, how the fuck do you deal with that? And then you got to hope that you get the right psychologist as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So look, I know it's probably only been a really short podcast, but it's been really good for you to actually put yourself out there, because the people who are listening don't know, but I did ask Jess to hop on the podcast quite a few months ago, and you said yes, and then you said no. But that's cool. Like I said, I didn't put any more pressure on you, right? Like I'm not the kind of person to. I think like over the years I've learned that like the old me used to be more about tough love and like kick someone in the ass to get them into gear. But then like the older me now is like, well, it's not my problem, and I don't want to make it my problem,
Yeah,
and I don't want to make it a problem for the person I'm speaking to either. So I think like over time I've realized like tough love doesn't work all the time.
yeah,
And you know, it was more about acceptance for me these days, and I totally accepted you not feeling comfortable about putting yourself out there. And because you
yeah.
know, I
I'm like, I'm very shy, so I've never done anything like this before. And then I was just overthinking it, like I'd be
yeah,
shit, like I don't know, I'd sound really dumb. But and then I'm like, no, if someone's watching this, like, and it helps one person, then it's all worth it, I guess.
I think that's the right attitude to have. And it's like, it's so not a you're not overshooting. You're not being overly ambitious to a point where nothing is gonna happen. Like to set your goals to be more realistic, in my opinion, is gonna get you further quicker
Yeah.
than setting these huge goals that you can never meet.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that set their goals so fucking huge that I hate to say never, then it's not like they're never going to reach them. But
Yeah.
like, if your goals are so far away, then who knows what the fuck might happen in between you reaching that goal?
Yeah.
You might lose your mother, your grandma, you might lose a leg, you might lose your eyesight. I don't
Yeah.
know. But in life, shit happens. And if you have a long term goal, there's so much shit that can happen in between. So
Yeah.
when you have a realistic goal of like, if if I can only inspire just one person, and I've always had the same thing when I go to design schools and do an inspirational talk for an hour. If one person is sitting there and I could potentially put them on the right track for them to be an amazing graphic designer down the line, my job's done. Like maybe the rest of the class, they don't even know what they're fucking doing here. They're
Yeah.
just enrolled in this course. They don't give a fuck. They just want to get home and smoke bongs and play computer games or whatever. I don't care. But it's like if you can get that one person, and usually it's that person that's asking questions at the end and coming up to you afterwards and saying, "Oh, hey, that was awesome. I want to know more," and stuff like that. Then I feel so good for
Yeah.
sure. So I think that's super realistic, very noble of you. And I can see it. I can actually see you in this job. So yeah, I really can, and I think you'll dress glamorously and have nice heels on. I think you'll have a beautiful chaise lounge, and I think when you get bored of it, you'll get rid of it and buy a new chaise lounge. I think like I can see. I think even think you can have multiple offices. One which is like you can sort of suss out the person that you're seeing and go, well, maybe that chaise lounge, the velvet one, might be too much for them. So I'm going to go into the other room, which has like the aqua blue one or something.
Yeah.
But look, I know it sounds really hard because like you've only been there for 2 years now, I think.
Yeah. So last year I was doing prerequisite subjects. This year I just started the graduate diploma.
Yeah, so I know it's been really hard, and I know you've gone through like we've had conversations about how hard it is and how it's like absolutely screwing you over.
Yeah.
But like I'm glad it's hard. Like I'm glad it's not easy.
It shouldn't be easy if you're gonna like try and help someone's life. Like it shouldn't
Right.
be right. Like
Right. So I'm glad it's easy. Like I never said that to you before, but I'm fucking glad it's causing you to, we talk about blood, sweat, and tears, right? Like if you
yeah.
put blood, sweat, and and you just went to you just came back from the osteopath, so it's pretty obvious you're putting blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's a bit morbid, but I actually am happy about that because I don't think it should be easy if you're going to try and
Yeah.
help someone.
Yeah. It's true.
So look, I wish you all the best with the course, and
Thank
I
you.
hope the course gets better and better for you too. Like I think sometimes you need to realize that courses might not be the best thing because they're pre-written.
Mm.
It's like just saying graphic design, right? Like they're teaching you something 1 year, but they wrote it like 3 years ago, and it
Yeah.
took 3 years to approve it. And by the time they're teaching it to you, it's already old. Like there's a
Yeah.
new Photoshop, there's a new industry out there. The world is different. People don't like the type with serifs on it. They like the sans serif. They like, I don't know. It's just time changes really quickly. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you're in a course, it's like I used to get angry with the course, but one person ended up saying to me that it's not about the course. It's like, Justin, you just have to make the course work for yourself.
It's like I feel like universities are a business. They don't really care about, you doing well or whatever. You know what I
It's up
mean?
to you, right? It's up
Yeah.
to you. It's up to you to make it work.
I feel like, some courses, like obviously for some jobs you don't need to be studying at university, but then like
Mm.
some courses like psychology, being a doctor and all that stuff, you need to be in a university to get your degree
You
and
need
stuff.
you need the degree. Yeah. Yeah, and I would probably rather see a psychologist that has a degree. But
Yes.
like generally speaking, that piece of paper on the wall doesn't mean jack shit to me if this person's an awesome person. So you still need to be a good person
Yeah.
first and foremost. Like I would say the same thing with anyone, like whether you're an accountant or even anyone in any job where
Yeah.
you're dealing with the public. I would still prefer it if you're a good person primarily.
Yeah.
I would rather even go with a good person that doesn't do the job as well rather than an evil person that does the job really well. I don't know if that makes sense, but I
I
actually
know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I think you're a really good person.
Oh,
You don't
thank
have any bad bones.
you.
You're
Thank
experienced in what you've gone through
Yeah.
and like everybody else, you're still overcoming shit. It's what you've gone through has defined who you are. And I love it that you've gone back to or it's not that you're going back to, but you're choosing a career path that has something to do with your career path. Like I just love that. I love it that like I feel like people who like my dad was an awesome artist and he taught me how to draw. And when I was a kid, I was drawing so much, and then that led me to graphic design. And so it makes sense when
Yeah.
you're not going against the grain and you're doing something based
Yeah.
off. You're not just plucking like so many people are like, I don't know what to do in life. I don't know. I hate my fucking job. If I was to quit, I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you just need to think about something that's related to where you've come from.
Sometimes, but even for me, it took me a really long time to
A
figure out
long time, yeah.
what I wanted to do. And even last semester, I was telling you, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to keep
I
doing this.
know. You were
So
close to, you were thinking about quitting.
yeah, I was gonna throw in the towel. But I don't know. Like I just continued on for this semester, and like I don't know. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, I guess, more, and like I'm just realizing that it's the right fit for me. It's my passion for now, so I'm just gonna keep doing it, pursuing it, and see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, look, let's wrap it up. But thanks so much for coming on and being a guest of mine.
Thank you.
I think I'm probably gonna catch up with you soon. Are you gonna come out tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow dinner.
Oh, look, I'll see you tomorrow. We can debrief tomorrow. That'll be cool. But I'm going to stop the recording, but please hang on the line so that we can have a word afterwards. So everyone, that was my cousin Jess. I hope you guys got some good insights into potentially the strengths of psychology and potentially hiring a psychologist as someone who's not your mate, but someone who has worked their fucking ass off to get there and put some blood, sweat, and tears in to get a course and then get some experience and start a business. So you never know, it might actually help you out, and it probably wouldn't hurt too much to try. So yeah, thanks, Jess. Um, hang on the line, okay?
Okay. Thank you.